A very good evening to you. And welcome along to another Sweet and Swing here on Max Radio. My name's Howard Kane. Always a pleasure to have your company on a Friday evening on the wireless. What have we got? A bit of bassy. Never go wrong with that. Some Glenn Miller. We haven't had Glenn on for a while. Victor Sylvester will be in the ballroom. A rarity with the sort of Finnegan Orchestra. And to get us going though, how about a Song of Songs? Nat Gonella getting us going with his new Georgians, no less. Song of Songs. Now with his new Georgians, the vocals taken there by Jack Wallace. Member of the New Georgians, I think so. Not well known to the best of my knowledge as a vocalist. I stand to be corrected there, but not one that rings bells. And not Nat himself taking the vocals, as he was oft prone to do with the New Georgians. The group, of course, which brought the old maestro, my dad, into jazz in the first place, that started a lifelong love of jazz. I think it was the original Georgians he went to see with his dad, and I can't for the life of me remember whether it was here now, I think it was, or somewhere in the northwest. I'm thinking the Isle of Man. He might have been over in his early days. And he went to see them, all in sailor suits, apparently. Don't ask me why. It must have been the look at the time. And yes, Jim, my dad, the old maestro, fell in love with the sound, and that was it. A lifelong love affair with jazz for the rest of his days, the next 80-odd years or more. Splendid. Wonder what would happen. I often think what would happen if he hadn't gone to the... if his dad hadn't taken him to the New Georgians, whether he would have fallen in love with jazz anyway, later on or not. Who knows? The mystery of these things. Hope you are all faring well in any case and surviving. We are heading towards spring, aren't we? Just about. There's definite signs of spring in the air. Crocus out in the garden, daffy's out. I've got daffy's out in my garden. I hope you have as well. Certainly snowdrops going over, if anything, now, it has to be said. And signs of life coming around everywhere. Lengthening evenings is always a nice sign, isn't it? Just if we could get a little bit of warmer weather. But yes, who knows when that might be on the Isle of Man. You can never really say, can you? Impossible to say. All sorts of goodies this evening. A bit of ballroom dancing, so have your dancing shoes ready, or polish your slippers up, if nothing else. Glenn Miller, found a box set of the Glenn Miller story. We'll have our Trumpeters of Jazz, of course, our little mini-series as well. Before all that, how about a little bit of Little Mary Lee with another man who was no stranger to Manx shores, Roy Fox. With Roy Fox in 1937. Roy, certainly no stranger to Manx shores. I'm assuming Mary might have come over with him as well. I mean, she didn't hail from that far away. Little Mary Lee, as she started out at the tender age of 13. I don't know, it'd be allowed now, would it? I'm not too sure. But came from a working class family in Glasgow. Born in 1921. and had a very happy childhood, but then, from all accounts, was catapulted into the limelight in the early years. For 3 glorious years, she says, she was groomed in every way, and I think that's grooming not in the way we might need it today with young people. She means speech, dress, manners, you name it. I had it. The woman herself said. She was never groomed in singing, of course, because her voice was natural. Roy Fox, it's claimed, banned her from listening to the likes of Peggy Lee or Ella Fitzgerald in case it spoiled her style. You'd have thought you'd want someone to listen to the greats, wouldn't you? But no, he thought she had such a fresh, young voice and different. He didn't want her to sound the same. He also banned boys from using bad language in her presence for fear of, affecting her speech, as it were, I suppose, her manner of speech. And records and radio programmes came aplenty, and Roy Fox at the peak of his career, then Mary rubbing shoulders with the likes of Sid Buckman and Harry Gold and Les Lambert and Ivor Morant and lots of others, and sang duets with the band's male vocalist, who was at the time Denny Dennis. And Roy Fox, definitely a sort of ladies' man, very dapper, and did very well, of course. He was an A-lister star of his time in many ways, not short of a few bob. Rolls-Royce to ferry him around, even had a racecourse named after his signature tune, Whispering. Yeah, you get the picture in any case, not short of the odd shilling or two. But, of course, these things never last, and Mary's idea of heaven was not to last, and after 3 years, most of which time she later admitted passed right over her head, everything fell apart and the group disbanded. And then she went and worked with Jack Payne, and it wasn't quite the same after that in many ways. But she did live to a good old age, certainly way into her 80s. Not so little anymore, as it points out. Don't think she was changed in stature, but certainly perhaps not the youthful voice she'd started out with. But I think she was on Radio Scotland at one stage as well. Terrific stuff. Right, got a bit of Basie. Can't go wrong with a bit of Basie. And this one was knocking round in the bag. Count Basie and his orchestra in 1954. Positively modern as far as this show is concerned. A mere, 70-odd years ago. Good Lord, it's like yesterday. Probably is like it is like yesterday for some of us, isn't it? Or for some of you, I wasn't quite there. Anyway, here he is. Let's hear it from the audience.
Skies smiling at me, nothing but blue skies do I see. Bluebirds singing a song, nothing but bluebirds from now on. Never saw the sun shining so bright, never saw things going so right, noticing the days hurrying by. When you're in love, my how they fly. Blue days, all of them gone, nothing but blue skies from now on. Never saw the sun shining so bright, never saw things going so right, noticing the days hurrying by. When you're in love, my how they fly. Bluebirds, all of them gone, nothing but blue skies from now on.
We keep our fingers crossed for blue skies. There was one over Douglas a little bit earlier on. today. Didn't last particularly long. It's just a blue sky does put sort of a skip in your beat, doesn't it? And puts a smile on your face, and somehow or other the world seems better if there's a blue sky compared to the grey, muggy, overcast, foggy sort of weather, which is lovely in little bursts, but when you've had a week or two of it, you start to crave a bit of a blue sky. So let's hope Maxine can bring some blue skies heading our way on a more regular basis as we scurry towards spring, hopefully. And before that, Count Basie and his orchestra with, a great lineup as always he had there. The likes of Joe Wilder and Joe Newman, Billy Hughes, Henry Coker, Benny Powell, Frank Vess, Ernie Wilkins, Frank Foster, Count himself, of course, and yes, Gus Johnson on the drums, wonderful Gus Johnson, and Neil Hefti doing some arrangements as well, with a track which was called Down for the Count. We could have had Perdido, but it's nice to play the things you're not always expecting, is it not? Yep, keep your dancing shoes ready. We are heading towards Victor Sylvester and also some of those great trumpeters of jazz, another one to look at this week in our little mini-series. But first, a request. Well, why not? It's not a request show per se, but as I say, most weeks we're always happy to try and indulge you if we can. If there's anything you've not heard for a long time, or perhaps you have heard but would like to hear again, some favourites, a favourite artist, a favourite track, whatever. If we can play it and it fits into the sweet and swing bill, i.e. nostalgia and big band and swing music from the 20s, I suppose, up to the 50s, as indeed the Count Basie was there. We'll try and indulge you. Can't always succeed. We'll always give it our best shot to see if we can come up with something you like. Drop us a line anytime you like. Easiest way is by email, of course, Howard Caine, Caine, @manxradio.com. However, if you like to put pen to paper, and why not, I'm always happy to see pen on paper, a little card, a postcard, a scrap of paper, Basildon Bond, whatever. We accept them all with glee and gratitude. Then the address is Howard Sweet and Swing, Manx Radio, Broadcasting House, Douglas Head, Douglas, in the Isle of Man, of course, and that all-important postcode I-M for Mother 1-5 Bravo Whiskey B-W. And of course, don't forget, if you're listening via the web in somewhere exotic, Botswana, Bali, parts of Africa or whatever, let us know and get a mention. And have a request as well if you like. However, this requestee, much closer to home, only heading towards South Santon Way, a good friend of mine, June Mary, who's a regular listener to the show and is always kind enough to send me a few kind thoughts when she's listening, saying, oh, really enjoying that. To be absolutely fair, she'll also tell me if she doesn't like something and says, no, that was rubbish, which is absolutely fair dinkum. Why not? We like to know what people like and what they don't like. However, a day or two back, she said, evening H, I'm enjoying the programme. Any chance you could find and play an orchestral version of Around the World I've Searched for You for me sometime? It's a real favourite of my husband's and mine, and we used to get orchestras, or maybe we were in a nice hotel, if they could play it on the piano or play it for us. It would be our song, I guess, to a degree. Well, I'm hoping we've got the right one for you, Jim Mary. You can obviously tell me if I haven't. Be kind if I haven't, but I'm fairly certain this is what you were after. And this isn't a half-bad orchestral version. Around the world, I've searched for you. Lots of lovely versions. Nat King Cole, I think, sang it famously as well, with that beautiful, velvety, soft, luscious voice he had, which is ideally suited to the lyrics for that one, I think. And I hope you enjoyed that, June Mary. And yes, you can shout at me later if it's the wrong version, but I'm pretty certain that's the sort of thing you are after. Hope you enjoyed it, one way or another. And any other requests from June Mary or anyone else, just drop me a line, howardkane@maxradio.com. We'll see what we can do. It is Sweet and Swing here on Max Radio. Lovely to have your company on a Friday evening. We're here until the top of the hour as usual, of course. And okay, dancing shoes on, or polish the bottom of your slippers if you've got your slippers on and you can't find your shiny dancing shoes or high heels, as the case may be. Here he is, Mr. Dance himself, Victor Sylvester, and his Ballroom Orchestra. And what would you like? How about, would you like a slow foxtrot? So deep is the night. I hope you were all in perfect time for that, a slow foxtrot. And of course, back in the day, yes, Victor Sylvester would lead, it was sort of like a do-it-yourself dancing lesson. So you'd have the radio turned on and you'd have the radio times on, well, I don't know, would it be on the sort of, on the coffee table, on the floor, maybe on the floor? On an antimacassar on the back of a small armchair or something along these lines. But the radio times would be open with the page with the little diagrams on which gave you the steps for the slow foxtrot or whatever the case may be, if you were a rubbish dancer like me and didn't know how to do it. And then hundreds of listeners would then eagerly await the opening bars of You're Dancing on My Heart, which introduced the BBC Dancing Club, which of course was one of the regular weekly broadcasts Victor and his Ballroom Orchestra would provide. Listenable music in perfect dancing tempo, with the added joy of the diagrams set out in footprints so you know the movements of the step, which was the subject of this week's lesson. Those were the days. Move over ChatGPT and DeepSeek and artificial intelligence. All you need is a magazine and, Victor Sylvester, and you can have a whole evening's worth of entertainment and something a little bit different. And then midway through the broadcast, Victor would lead his studio pupils through the step, followed with varying degrees, of course, by varying degrees of skill, I suppose, by all the listeners. And then after 2 or 3 practice runs, the band would play a number in the required mode, and hopefully all those at home would have improved their dancing that evening. Well, yes, Victor Sylvester himself didn't actually play in his own orchestra, being there in his white tails and white tie, directing proceedings with, as it's noted here, metronome-like baton, ensuring perfection. Well, exactly. I could have done with it, really. I was a rubbish ballroom dancer. Still am. I say was. Still am a rubbish ballroom dancer. Not that I go ballroom dancing that often these days, but yes, I went for lessons at various times with Jimmy and Shirley Druggan at one stage, who were brilliant. And after, several weeks of lessons with Jimmy and Shirley Druggan, I felt like I could actually do the quick step and a bit of waltzing and such like. Tango and things are a bit trickier, but, quick step and a waltz and a foxtrot. I thought, yes, I can sort of stagger around these with at least a hint of a degree of grace. And then, of course, the lessons would finish and you wouldn't go to a dance for an awfully long time. And before you knew it, it'd be a year would have gone past, you wouldn't have done anything, and the next time a dinner dance came up and someone said, would you like a dance? You'd start clod-hopping around the room again, stamping on toes in your usual fashion, or my usual fashion. I just don't think I had it in me, one way or another. Never mind, the old maestro and Mum were very, very good. Looked like they were on casters, really did. Right, you don't need me to introduce this man. A million miles, I would say, from Victor Sylvester, but still great character.
I'm leaning on a lamp. I know I look just like a tramp. Or you may think I'm hanging round to steal a cow. But no, I'm not a crook. And if you think that's what I look, I'll tell you why I'm here and what my motives are. I'm leaning on the lamppost at the corner of the street in case a certain little lady comes by. Oh me, oh my, I hope the little lady comes by. I don't know if she'll get away, she doesn't always get away, but anyhow I know that she'll try. Oh me, oh my, I hope the little lady comes by. There's no other girl I could wait for, but this one I'd break any date for. I won't have to ask what she's late for. She wouldn't leave me flat, she's not a girl like that. Oh, she's absolutely beautiful and marvelous and wonderful, and anyone can understand why. I'm leaning on a lamppost at the corner of the street in case a certain little lady passes by. I'm leaning on a lamppost at the corner of the street in case a certain little lady comes by. Oh me, oh my, I hope the little lady comes by. I don't know if she'll get away, she doesn't always get away, but anyhow I know that she'll try. Oh me, oh my, I hope the little lady comes, but I da-da-da-da-dee, bum-bum, there's no I'm leaning on a lamppost at the corner of the street in case a certain little lady passes by.
And that's how you do it. Of course, the cheeky chappie himself, George Formby. I've always had a soft spot for him, I must admit. And I remember going to see No Limit when I was knee-high. Is it still shown during TT? I don't know, but required viewing for anyone who is interested in the TT and such like. Wonderful stuff. And he was just cornered something, didn't he? And some of his slower numbers were really rather affecting, rather touching. And the power behind the force, of course, was Mrs. Formby, who George did all the bit on stage, and his better half did all the business. I can't remember her name. Beryl, was it? She had a very good business brain and made sure that he, got over on time, did the things, and made good money, I think. Well done. Can't go wrong with a bit of George. Now then, we'll continue with our mini-series, which we've been running for the last few weeks, and it'll run for a few weeks more yet, which is all based around a CD of great jazz trumpeters, classic jazz to swing, starting off with King Oliver and Louis Armstrong, and going through to Roy Eldridge, and I don't think it goes as far as Miles Davis, but you get the gist of it in any case, in our era, as it were. And we've had a King Oliver, and we had Louis Armstrong, and this one is it's a sort of a blast from the past, really. Willie Bunk Johnson, who was brought out of retirement to a degree when King Oliver was going, and Willie Bunk Johnson claimed to have influenced, I think, King Oliver, and to that degree, I suppose, Louis Armstrong as well. But he was brought out of obscurity in the 1940s by some fanatical jazz researchers, and did claim that he had been influential on the greats earlier on. But his sound and his style of playing does give a hint of what jazz and the jazz trumpet might have sounded like way back at its tough old beginnings in New Orleans.
Down in the said the mama fishy, swim if you can, and they swam all over the dam.
Down in the meddy in the itty-bitty pool, wham fee itty-fitty, and a mama fitty foo. Wham fed the mama fitty, wham if tan, and they wham all over the dam.
Stop, said the mama fishy, or you will get lost. But the three little fishes didn't want to be bossed. The three little fishes went off on a spree, and they swam right out to sea.
Stop, said the mama fitty, or will get lost. But the fee itty-fitty didn't want to be bossed. Oh, the fee itty-fitty went off on a spree, and they wham right out to sea.
We yelled the little fishies, here's a lot of fun. We'll swim in the sea till the day is done. They swam, and it was a lark till all of a sudden they saw a shark.
Whee, el the itty-fitties, here's a lot of fun. You'll swim in the sea, el the day is on. And they swam, and it was a wark. Till all of a sudden they saw a shark.
Help, cried the little fishies, gee, look at the whales. Quick as they could, they turned on their tails. Back to the pool in the meadow they swam, and they swam back over the dam.
Help, sighed the itty-fitties, they'll get the whales. And quick as they could, they turned on their tails. And back to the pool in the meddy they swam, and they swam back over the dam. And they swam back over the dam.
There we go. That's not too bad at all, was it? We had the trumpeter, of course, of Bunk Johnson, straight into a bit of, as I promised at the start of the show, Glenn Miller, Three Little Fishes. Something a bit different, rather than all the usual old faves, but it's nice to play something a little bit different from Glenn, isn't it? Glenn Miller and his orchestra, 1939, and taking the vocals on that one, Marion Hutton, Tex Benneker, and various voices from the orchestra, I think, joining in the chorus. Three little fishes. Yeah, must have been a good number to do. Great fun. Enjoying that very muchly indeed. Now then, I promised you something of a novelty. The Sorter Finnegan Orchestra, Directions in Music. Yeah, it is something very different, and they were, as it remarks here in Melody Maker, I think it was in the early 1950s, the band of Eddie Sorter and Bill Finnegan is no normal musical unit. It features such instruments as the gamelan, recorder, ratchet and kazoo. Harp and Finnegan conducts and doubles on amplification controls, which I think is a long way of saying a mixing desk, which is what he sort of used to do to try and balance the instruments out. Sorter and Finnegan, two of the most lauded arrangers back in the swing era, but the band they put together wasn't meant to be a novelty piece or a joke, really. The music was sophisticated and had a lot of wit in it, but was sophisticated playing, some very colourful scores played by an equally vivid assemblage of the finest of New York. And in addition to its battery of percussion instruments, the band sported the entire woodwind family, a keyboard glockenspiel, a tuba, a celeste, or Sylvester, I think it's just Celeste, isn't it? A sort of small glockenspiel type instrument, and a harp, and indeed sometimes featured Ed Sorter himself playing toy trumpet, whilst Finnegan simultaneously, as we've heard there a bit, conducted and ran the ingenious mixer, devised by Sorter's brother, an electronics wizard who worked for the Bell Labs, and this was designed to amplify the smaller sounding instruments on stage, and with its two speakers, the band was able to perform in stereo before stereo recording was de rigueur. As you can imagine, the audiences marvelled at all these contraptions, but the sound system enhanced in performance and the great sort of dynamic innuendos, and you could pick out the intricacies of their scoring and such like. way ahead of their time in so many ways. So not really a straight novelty, something of people who were, I suppose, trailblazers, the vanguard of such things, and making interesting music as well. Have a listen to this and see what you make of it. In any case, it's a track which is called Love is a Simple Thing, given the treatment by the Sauter Finnegan Orchestra.
Love is a simple thing. Love is a silver ring, shiny as a ribbon bow,
soft as a quiet snow.
Love is a nursery rhyme, old as a tick of time. Love is so many things, bright as an angel's wings, gentle as the morning light,
long as a winter night.
Love makes an old heart sing, and it fills every empty space. Love is a warming place. Love is a simple thing.
Love is a simple thing.
Love is a magic ring,
Much more fun than mistletoe.
gay as a puppet show. Love is a thunder and rain,
Swift as a soaring plane,
oh, love is a summer moon,
gay as a big balloon,
young as a calliope.
wild as a storm at sea.
Love is a touch of spring, it's as sweet as a first embrace.
Love is a special face.
Love is a simple thing. Simple.
You've got to admit it's different. It's quirky, it's fun, it is very wittily arranged, or very cleverly arranged and it's witty. And maybe some of the sort of fripperies might tire after a while. I don't know, but I love the fact that they were trying to do something really different and experimenting with electronics and boosting things in early days. Wonderful stuff. I'll keep that one not too far away from the bag. Might try a few more of those sort of Finnegan Orchestra directions in music. Right, a quick Lambeth walk, and then it's probably time for bed, said Zebedee. Well, Billy Cotton in any case.
Lambeth Way. Any evening, any day, you'll find us all doing the Lambeth walk. Every little Lambeth gal with a little Lambeth pal, you'll find 'em all doing the Lambeth walk. Everything free and easy, do as you darn well please ye. Why don't you make your way there? So there, stay there. Once you get down Lambeth Way, every evening, every day, you'll find yourself doing the Lambeth walk.
That's more or less it, for another week. Same time, same place, couple of weeks' time. Be good. See you then. Cheerio.